Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, and welcome to another episode of Post-Conference Presser for Anfield Index. In a sad way for me, the very last one of the season, because earlier on at 9 a.m. UK time, Arne Slot was up at the AXA, wasn't he, answering, the questions that were put to him. Before I even get into this properly, ladies and gents, if I tell you just one thing or advise you of one thing today, watch, listen to Arne Slot's press conference. Maybe, as they say, the best is saved to last. It was absolutely brilliant. I wouldn't even be surprised, as we're talking right now, if you've even seen some clips of it, heard the stories, read the quotes, whatever it may be, but can't stress it enough. Listen, watch it. Well worth a good sort of 15, 16 minutes of your time. So we'll get into it. We'll talk about the normal questions and answers around Arne Slot's press conference. We'll have a look back to that Brighton defeat for a few clues, we'll say, but not too many. We'll talk about the threats that Crystal Palace will bring this weekend, and maybe it's the biggest contest of who'll be the least sober in the stadium, but we'll have to see with the fans. And then we'll have a look at lineup, score, and scorers, which I have to be honest, right at this moment in time, I am saying with little to zero confidence, because he's always just springing a surprise or not, as the case may be, Arne Slot. I'm your normal host, Dave Davis, coming to you from a sunny Edinburgh. But unfortunately, for most of the UK, the weather is on the change. So we'll see if it's that way at Anfield this weekend. Let's get into it then, ladies and gents. What were the real questions? What were the real answers from this press conference? And before I get into that, actually, I do just want to call something out. It should be well marked. Liverpool did announce earlier that the voice of Anfield, George Sefton, will step down at the end of this season as stadium announcer after more, it's incredible, than 50 years in the role. Insane that, isn't it, really? Absolutely brilliant. And just part of the furniture. I've interviewed George a number of times. Brilliant stories. And I hope that, in some way, it would be immense if that could just be marked, couldn't it, in that regard? But we will have to see what happens. But happy retirement and enjoy it fully, George. But into the questions and answers. And just on this, ladies and gents, as I said, watch it, because I'll show you sort of bits, or we'll talk about bits that came up, which were brilliant. But always watch it for the full context. And we're also led to believe there is a full embargo later on around this. So it's worth just mentioning. As I'm doing this, though, people, there's about 7 to 8 different people that have just put in the chat Ornstein, Bomber, Vert. So I'm going to look now. Well, holy shit balls. Even live, David Ornstein, 4 minutes ago, Liverpool given huge boost in Wirt's pursuit. Bayern Munich believe he's on course for Anfield move if he leaves this summer. Club would still need to agree a deal, not a formality. But the German international favours LFC. That needs to go straight on to Pornhub, people, doesn't it? Because that is absolute visual filth we are looking at right now. And I don't really care now too much a little bit about the format of the show as I'm talking about this. We'll get back to that. But Florian Wirtz favourite. We are ahead, as he says, Ornstein there, of Bayern Munich. That's where I believe erotic. Absolutely erotic. So I'm glad we interrupted our normal viewing. I will get back to it, but I'll be getting back to that even later as well. So let's just get right into this for the questions and answers. He was told about Deco. Did anyone clock that? Mentioning Luis Diaz. It was just weird the way Deco did it for those quotes, wasn't it? We like Diaz, we like Rashford, but we don't talk about other teams' players. Okay. So he responded to that quite well, Arne Slot, just saying around, we admire all players. And he did ask the journalist, was that in front of a microphone? Was that, oh, quotes? Okay. Well, I admire Lamine Yamal and Rafinha also. So I did think it was on very good form today. He was also asked about the Trent situation and how that would be received in the stadium. And he did say, are you talking about it, whether he'd sit out, what will happen? Yes, I am talking to him. I like this. That's the biggest difference between me and all the ones that have a purple bin. I get this, the way Arne Slot saying it. He's not a dyed-in-the-wool scouser. He's not pretending to be. He also talked, and again, why I'd say watch it, about that he has that day-to-day relationship with Trent. It is different as a human being, as he also said. So I don't want to defend Trent too much by any means. But again, I would say as normal, just watch it. And I am trying to focus now after this Ornstein bomber, but there we go. Those were the big quotes. I'll get to the Trent one as well. But the other one I would just really call out at the same time, Joe Gomez. Now, he mentioned Joe Gomez and saying he hopes to give him minutes if he ticks all the boxes. What are those boxes? We don't know. But how good would it be if Joe Gomez could just get minutes? And I might be wrong on this, but I just got the impression that it felt like a farewell if anyone saw it, and the way he was talking for Joe Gomez in that sense. I could be wrong on that, but God, I'd love Joe Gomez to get Ain't Nobody Like Joe Gomez coming back for the end of the season. I could be wrong. We will have to see. But I'm going to stop sharing this bit and make sure I share it again with the sound on, because there's two bits of sound I really want to play, which I thought were the two headlines from this press conference. So let's just listen to what Arne Slot said around the Trent situation for context and about the chat he had in his office. Again, I'd say watch it, process it fully, but this is important to say. He had been asked about Mo Salah and how he called him on his office. And he alluded to Trent, and quite rightly, really well done to a few in the room. Journalists pounced upon it. And you could kind of hear the reluctance in his voice, but it changed. And this is the quote, I would say, from the press conference. Let's just have a listen to this now.
But I wasn't completely happy with every single minute how he was on the training ground. So in my opinion, he could, in certain moments, he could do a bit more, to say it mildly. And that's what we talked about, combined with that I said to him, you're a much better defender than everybody tells you. Unfortunately, you don't show it all the time. And that's why people sometimes say you're not, this is a part of your game you need to improve. But if you are just at it and you're focused and concentrated, there are not many players that can go around him, because he's fast, he's agile, he has great mentality. But yeah, it's about showing that every single game, because in this world we are judged not only on the 34 games we do well.
It's pretty damning, that, isn't he? Is that it was almost telling him, or telling us, it's a will, not a skill situation, in the sense of, by the way, he has got the ability to defend. He just chooses almost not to at times. And it kind of backs up a little bit what we've defended Trent, because when we loved him, we defended him against opposition fans and said, nah, he can defend. You just go with the lazy media narrative. But at the same time, Arne Slot saying, yeah, he can, but he doesn't. and I've had him in my office. And a few people, and I actually said it on a pod earlier, I actually said, I wonder how Trent will take that. It'd be interesting to be a fly on the wall. And that's true. I don't really care how Trent takes it. I don't mind that from Slot. I generally don't. It's a bit of a burn. But to quote that Trent phrase, I don't mind it. I really don't on that. It will draw the headlines, understandably. But yeah, there we go. Just in case you are coming in, because everyone's put in, I mean, look at this for a chat panel. Orny Bomber, Ornstein, Bombs, tweets, Wirtz Bomb, Orn, because everyone's talking about this as opposed to a normal viewing. But again, David Ornstein, Liverpool given huge boost in Florian Wirtz pursuit. Bayern Munich believe 22 is on course for an Anfield move if he leaves this summer. The club still need to agree a deal. It's not a formality, but Germany International favours Liverpool. That is absolutely massive, isn't it? There's no two ways about it. And I get why everyone's talking about that at the same time. But anyway, for post-conference presser, we will look back a little bit at Brighton. But actually, I was thinking about that. There was one more I wanted to play you. And this was about Slot's elite mentality clip. This is the one I kind of hoped will be going viral instead of the Trent one, to be honest. Just have a watch and a listen of this.
What is the potential of your team? Do you think that you've got the potential, maybe not to get 8 and 10 years, or maybe you kind of don't know? What can they achieve?
Now, I think we have a lot to compete next season again. But what I don't know yet, and that's going to be the interesting one, is if we have this elite mentality, this serial winner mentality of showing up season after season after season. And I think I get the answer already on the 8th of July when we come back together to see in what shape the players are. Because many teams have won the Premier League once, but not many have won them multiple seasons in a row. And that's for a reason. First of all, because it's so difficult. Second of all, that not every player has this elite mentality. When I talk about Mo, it's not a coincidence that he's for 7 years already on a certain level. And last season, he was the one that was the most fittest when we arrived back after the break. So that is a mentality you need to have a chance of becoming a serial winner. And this is something we have to prove, and the players have to prove, and me as well, during the off season. And the first day for me to judge if we have a chance to become serial winners is the 8th of July when I see them back.
Love that. Absolutely love that. And for all the Trent talk, that was the clip of the whole press conference for me. And the thing that actually I was buzzing with that. Arne Slot already casting his mind to the 8th of July, not just with transfers, obviously, that everyone's involved in that mix and different bits, but more about this is big. We want to be serial winners. The phrases, elite mentality, the way he talks about Mo Salah as the barometer there. Isn't that what we wanted? Just that ruthlessness, that desire to win, and talking about how he'll judge his players in that regard. I know everyone will be talking about the Trent scenario, but for me, that was just the clip of the press conference. And again, as normal, people will obviously make their own judgments, but I would advise, I just reiterate, please, please, please have a look, a watch of that. And as people are also saying, Ornstein Bomber 2, they're coming fast. As he's also now tweeted out, David Ornstein a minute ago or so, Wirtz was in Northwest England recently to house hunt. I think we knew this. Should it proceed, Bayern Munich have been informed of the playmaker's preference for Liverpool. This, all of a sudden, ladies and gents, got ecstatically real. I don't want to be rude, but when Sasha did tweet that, you also hold on, last week you tweeted about Bayern Munich being favourites, so you were a bit nervous, but I think we're going to be jumping on pods very soon to talk about this. But there we go. That was the Q&As from Arne Slot. And if we look back to the recent game the other night. It's hard to get too many clues because the players are on holiday. I mean, they're spending half the week on the piss, aren't they, basically? But there is a few important things to really call out with this. Harvey Elliott, goal and assist. You could take that away. That is a fact, sounding like Rafa from this game. But off the ball, he was horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I don't think you could describe it any other way. And I just think at the moment, it's too much for him. And you actually saw it. And I know I'll get Harvey fans hating on me for this. And he's a talented player, got so many attributes. Creative. Honestly, I think he can be a star at the right team. It's just not us. It's just not this level. I think that showed. Dominic Szoboszlai hit a fluky one, but I think he did all right at 8, didn't he? Maybe needs to be a bit more physical in the sense of winning more duels and challenges that way. But the energy was important. It was good to see that. It was also great for me. How good was Connor Bradley's assist? That was the highlight of this game. No two ways about it for me. But other than that, I don't want to hammer like Canate when Van Dijk's not next to him. I don't want to be uber critical. It's always danger at this time of the season with this situation of over analysis for me. So that's just the way I see it right now. Moving ahead to this one. I mean, this is going to be some party atmosphere against Crystal Palace, isn't it? They're on a massive high from the FA Cup final still. They'll be bringing their trophies in. And did anyone clock? They were just in party mode, weren't they? Hammered Wolves 4-2 in midweek. They are. Any Palace can turn up. If you look at that spread, 13 wins, 13 draws, 11 defeats. 50 scored, 50 against. A neutral goal difference. That's crazy, isn't it? They are. Any Palace could turn up. And by the way, if you think historically, Palace love to ruin the party for us. Do you remember Stevie G's last game when we went 1-0 up through Lallana and they won 3-1 at Anfield? Do you remember last season when we were still in it and still chasing it and they beat us 1-0 at Anfield? Okay, so you've just got to remember, as much as it doesn't really too matter, it's more about the trophy lift, etc. I get it. There's a danger to this if you're thinking about the victory. It would be nice to end on a victory, wouldn't it? They have got some tidy players, some really shining. I thought that Munoz has had a great end to the season, but it seems hard to me right now to look beyond Eze. 8 goals, 8 assists, the goal in the FA Cup final, absolutely on fire at the end of the season. If we can keep him quiet, we will keep Crystal Palace quiet. And then the other player, our sweet prince, it could be Adam Wharton. He is out, isn't he? He's got concussion, in the FA Cup final, so he will miss this. Would I like to have seen him at Anfield? Hopefully we'll see him at Anfield next season, of course, at the same time. So he is out. That's maybe an advantage for us. And Mateta. We saw the hassle that Mateta gave City centre-backs. He will be right up for the challenge as well, won't he? 14 goals this season. It is important to remember that Palace are also playing pressure-free. It doesn't mean anything to them. They're relaxed. I think that's maybe what you saw if you watched any of the Wolves highlights in midweek. So they are very much in this to try and spoil the party a little bit. So we'll see what happens there. And we come on to the final bit, ladies and gents. The score, the scorers, the lineup. This, I don't think, will be too difficult. I think it's Alisson. I think it's Van Dijk, Canate, Robbo, and Connor Bradley at right back. I just think straightforward, he goes full strength. Midfield's the one that is the variance, I understand, because McAllister would be in the first team. I'm not doubting that, but he said he won't play before the end of the season. So I think it's Szoboszlai, Gravenberch, and Curtis. That's the middle three I think he will go for. Up top, it's Mo on the right, it's Gakpo on the left, and it's Diaz in the middle for me. What will be interesting to see at the same time, Chiesa, you suspect that's done, but Diogo Jota was left completely out the squad, wasn't he, the other night? That's an interesting one to keep an eye on. will he be in this squad this time around? But that's the strongest lineup. I do think there'll be goals in this one. I do think it'll be a party atmosphere. And that is why I'm going for 3-2 for the Reds. And maybe most importantly, out of anything before the end of the season, Mo Salah to get a goal and assist. That is what we're looking for, aren't we? To get his records that the Egyptian king well deserves. But just in case you missed it as well, the breaking news of the hour or so, Florian Wirtz, as per David Ornstein, could well be on his way to Liverpool. We're going to get into that very, very shortly. But for the final time this season, and maybe a brilliant way to finish, that was another post-conference presser for Anfield Index.